Hello everyone, I'm DeAngelo with That's Entertainment, and this is your video review of Fallout New Vegas by Obsidian Entertainment. It's no surprise that an award-winning game like Fallout 3 would spawn a sequel, even in light of the quintet of DLC options that supplemented that game since its release. People dumped countless hours into the newcomer of the Fallout series, and were eagerly awaiting the April 2009 announced follow-up. The time has come, and the neon glow of Vegas is ready to entice the fans of the franchise back into the series, potentially to lose themselves again in an epic tale in a new wasteland, where things remain familiar but where surprises still hide around every corner. With so much to talk about, let's just get right into it. Fallout New Vegas is not a direct sequel to Fallout 3. This is a brand new story, and a brand new way to tell it as far as the series is concerned. As a courier, it's your job to deliver packages to anyone throughout the Mojave Wasteland. It's a dangerous occupation, and one of the potential hazards includes those greedy thugs with a mind for theft at any cost. Enter Benny Gecko, a suave, polite murderer. While on your rounds to deliver a platinum poker chip, Benny and his hired goons find you, tie you down, and plant a bullet right in your head. They take the chip and leave you for dead in a shallow grave. Much to your surprise, you wake up a short while later, having been rescued by a robot named Victor and brought to a doctor for aid. After all your pieces are back in place, the real meat of the story becomes apparent. New Vegas is not about finding your lost father or providing water for your people. It's about revenge, pure and simple. Benny will either pay for his trespasses against you, or you'll die trying to enact your own brand of justice. While the game is brand new from a narrative standpoint, that isn't to say that there aren't some tie-ins with previous titles in the series. Without spoiling too much, you'll run into characters that have made appearances before, and even find some reading material that you might be familiar with. If there's one thing that didn't seem like it needed a lot of work coming off of Fallout 3, it was the gameplay. That was perhaps one of the most addictive qualities of the title. Sure, there were some hiccups here and there, but nothing was all too noteworthy. Everything felt complete. One of the parts of the series that takes a strong step forward is the companion system. Your pals were nothing more than meat shields in the prior game, openly inviting death every step they took, and risking an early end to your adventure. They weren't good at taking directions, and they weren't good at dealing out any real oppression. New Vegas remedies this situation with a new radial menu and new, more adaptable AI that won't make you tear your hair out. Your companions will be a welcome addition to your team, and a force to be reckoned with. Each of them even provides you with a unique perk. Another addition to New Vegas is the optional hardcore mode. Think of it as a real-life mode. It doesn't affect difficulty per se, but it does require you to be more conscious of your character. They need to eat, drink, and sleep, otherwise they end up with some hefty debuffs. Hardcore mode also affects how you rejuvenate from injuries. No longer will you be able to jack yourself up with stim-pack after stim-pack to go from 10 hit points to 200. You'll instead heal a little bit over time. Crippled extremities also require a little more concentration. A stim-pack simply will not do. You'll have to either have a high medical skill and access to a doctor's bag, or you'll actually have to trudge to a doctor. Finally, hardcore mode adds weights to ammunition, forcing you to think more carefully about everything you pick up. There are a lot of ways to proceed through the wasteland. Plenty of quests are available to you, with one in almost every town. There's a lot of diversity in them now too. Whereas the majority of the previous game required you to kill enemy after enemy, New Vegas is a little more imaginative with several of their quests. One of the first ones you'll have the opportunity to run into tasks you with luring an unsuspecting victim into the crosshairs of a heartbroken sniper. There's also usually a good amount of backstory that can be attained from these quests. Unfortunately, not everything within the game is a ray of sunshine across the Mojave Desert. Some quests seem like little more than fetch quests. Some don't even require you to step more than 5 feet away from an area to complete it. Others give you vague instructions that don't ever really pan out the way your Pip-Boy suggests. The most tedious step back for Fallout New Vegas is the huge amount of glitches that you run across. Bethesda games aren't exactly known for being shining beacons of flawless gameplay, but New Vegas sets some new records. While some of these bugs make for some great water cooler discussions, they can be distracting, obstructive, and in some rare cases even game-breaking. Undoubtedly, there will be patches that will clear a lot of this up, but it really is a shame to not have a game free of bugs from the get-go. With such a vast world with a wide cast of characters, Fallout isn't really the greatest looking game you've seen. Likewise, New Vegas can't compete with the likes of some shooters or hack-and-slash titles, but it does a really good job filling its own role. You'll notice a marginal improvement over the last game, maybe not initially, but certainly over time. Certain events in the game function as in-game cutscenes and really help to mix things up a bit as well. The music and the sound don't seem too different from what you're familiar with, but the ambiance seems to fit Vegas and the desert a little more than the previous composition might have. One thing that I'll happily give high praise to is the vocal work. Once again, the voices and the dialogue given to them are huge additions to this game. You may not realize it, but there are some high-caliber actors that lend their credentials to Fallout. Matthew Perry, Danny Trejo, and Felicia Day are just a few among the strong cast. There's also a familiar role that has been given to Michael Dorn, and Ron Perlman returns to narrate. As Fallout is known for, no expense has been spared to deliver a powerful performance. If it's even a fathomable idea, there is even more replay value in this game than in Fallout 3. With the huge amount of quests and side ventures, you are already stretching playtime well into the double digits. But consider that there are plenty of groups that inhabit the wasteland, and you can build a reputation with each of them. Karma was an interesting way to look at the way to structure your character in the prior game, but there are so many more choices that you have to take into account this time around. There's also tons of reasons to keep looking around this new wasteland. With more available companions, each with their own perks to help buff your character, your search will drive on even longer. These characters have their own interesting stories to tell, and you can find ways to improve them. While you'll find tons and tons of mundane weaponry throughout the desert and on the strip, there are plenty of unique weapons too. On top of that, you can even modify your weapons with spare parts to give you that extra edge. Plenty of utility benches and campfires await you in whatever parts or ingredients you can find to make your next killing machine or restoring item. The perks also have a new feel. In addition to the perk that you receive every other level, and the ones your companions bestow, you receive a bonus perk upon fulfilling some basic objectives, like killing a certain amount of bug-type enemies. It may seem unbelievable, but New Vegas certainly has the chops to give Fallout 3 a run for your money. With some huge boots to fill, Fallout New Vegas had a lot to bring to the table to set itself aside from the rampant fanfare that its most recent predecessor set out on the community. Luckily, nearly every step that New Vegas took was one in the right direction. The graphics look nicer, the game has some neat new quirks, and they get the companions right this time around. Unfortunately, it is a little oversaturated with glitches, bugs, and questionable quests, even compared to other games in the Bethesda catalog. If it wasn't for those, this might have been a contender for Game of the Year for me. Some people will have no problems with them, however, and this could easily become your favorite. That's Entertainment awards Fallout New Vegas a score of 9 out of 10.